Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. Today we're coming at you with a very quick video for a bite-sized little machine that is, of course, the new Xbox console, the Xbox Series S, officially revealed after being leaked in the middle of the goddamn night last night. Now,
Hmm.
Tucker, it feels to me like this announcement was kind of a, oh shit, it leaked, let's just fucking talk about it type of deal, because we got a very short, less than 2-minute trailer showing some details, showing the machine come together. It looked as though
Yeah.
milk was being turned into a console. If you watch the video, it made me
Hmm.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I have to say, there's a lot of takeaways. But the bottom line is, I don't think this product is for me.
And I don't think it's for me either, but for the reason that I don't think you care about. Look, when I
For,
saw last night, was you gonna say
I
something?
was going to say, for the audience's edification, to use a word I don't know the definition of, let me read out a couple bullet points just so we get all on the same page. Xbox Series S, all digital next gen console, faster load times, higher frame rates, richer, more
Richer, more
dynamic
dynamic
worlds,
worlds.
next
Next
generation
gen
gaming performance.
performance.
You're making me nervous.
I'm just going along.
All in our smallest
Smallest
Xbox
Xbox
ever.
ever.
Releasing November 10th.
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
Well, oh wait. So that's just the overall release date for
Yes.
everything. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't. What the fuck? That's not on the. That's not on the tweet.
You
Where
should
does it say
start paying
that?
attention. It's in the trailer. That's the stinger at the end of the trailer.
Oh, okay.
November
November
10th.
10th. Great. Fantastic.
Num
10 days,
them from
10
the
days
temp.
before Hyrule Warriors, Calamity of Calamity.
The thing I'll be buying instead.
Yeah. But no, I honestly last night when I saw $300 for the S, I think it was also at least $500 for the X. I was thinking, all right, actually, $300 is something that I could get behind. And I was sending you some eyeball emojis like, you know, $300 is a pretty decent investment for this. There's only one thing that's turning me off, and that's because I'm a fucking boomer. But the fact that it's all digital just does not do it for me. I mean, obviously, that's probably what's cutting down the cost the most. I don't think that the power parity will really be as that bad. I think it'll be fine. I think that the fact that the costs are costs are cut are is because of the lack of the disk drive and
I don't think so.
oh, okay. Well, I mean, obviously, it won't be as powerful as the Series X, but I do think it'll be more powerful than the One X or the One S or the Xbox One, which is what I'm looking for. So I don't necessarily think that it's going to be that bad in those ways, but the fact that it is all digital is a turnoff for me and means that if I do want an Xbox, I will splurge for the Series X.
Here's the problem with what you were saying. I think that the lack of the disk drive is a bummer. I'm at a point where I buy most of my games digitally, so it wouldn't be make or break. But I think it's important to remember that when the Xbox One SAD model, the S all digital came out, that was only $50 less than the regular One S.
Okay.
So the price is not majorly affected by the lack of the disk drive. It could possibly be the fact that the Series S only has a 512 internal hard drive, which is a huge red flag. And between that and the disk drive, I bet they got the price down. And then it's possible that Xbox is selling this at a loss or right at cost to
Hmm.
just try to get it into people's homes.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not as powerful as the X.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a couple red flags here. And the biggest is illustrated to me by the current gen systems. So I have a base PS4, you have a base PS4. It
Yeah.
chugs along for a lot of games. Control is a great example. But
Hmm.
Control is only one of the many games that functions on the base models, but really you need a Pro or you need a Series or an Xbox One X to enjoy it fully.
Yeah.
I don't want to enter next gen at the bottom of the power structure already. Because
Hmm.
it's very likely we'll get to a situation in 3 years when even the PS5 and the Series X aren't quite powerful enough so they release another mid-gen refresh.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know? So I would rather pick up a product that future proofs me a little bit better, that
Hmm.
I have confidence will last me longer than this, which will almost necessitate me doing that mid-gen upgrade. Besides the fact that that 512 internal on an only digital device is really bad.
Yeah. That's interesting.
512 gets you nowhere. So then, sure, you can put in an external hard drive, but if you're spending 100, 150 or more on a Seagate, you're at the price, the presumed price for the Series X.
Is
So
it presumed? I'm pretty sure they confirmed that. Maybe I'm wrong,
as
but
far as I know, it's not confirmed. They've only given hard details on the Series S. All of these
okay.
names are so goddamn confusing. They
Yeah.
make sense, but when you're fucking smushing and smashing them all together, they get twiddled up in the brain.
Hmm.
But that's where I'm coming at this from. I think if I'm going to invest in next gen hardware right off the bat, I want to be at the top. I don't
Yeah.
want to be coming in at a budget model.
That's reasonable. Yeah. And for me, as someone who's very unsure of where I'm going to land next generation, this is a wrinkle that was going to impact me, but for the negatives that you've mentioned, the lack of disk drive and the lack of hard drive space, and the fact that it won't be power parity, it doesn't really do much for me. What I think what this console is out there for is to expand the Xbox ecosystem to as many people as they can. Someone sees a new Xbox actually not that expensive, think they can get in on next generation and play their COD, play their Madden or whatever uh, at great graphics comparatively to current gen, great load times, and doesn't necessarily need to buy a ton of games that are super big and can fit them all in the 512 and has access to Game Pass and all of that. That's what there's. I honestly think this is going to sell very well, but I don't think it's really for people like us.
Well, I think parts of that are true. I think it's going to sell very well. I think it has a nice niche of players, but I think it's important to remember that Call of Duty Warzone is a humongous game for the mainstream market, and that runs up over 100 gigs on PS4 and Xbox One, and that's going to come to next gen.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, if you're playing Call of Duty, let's say you get this machine and you get Madden and you download Warzone and you play Call of Duty Cold War, and maybe you play one other game, you fill up your hard drive right there, just off of the casual mainstream catch-all titles.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the $300 price tag is very attractive.
Yeah.
And I think that when you put that next to an Xbox Series S that's 500 and a PlayStation 5 that's either going to be 5 or 6, in my opinion,
Yeah.
it does look pretty attractive. But I think that if you remove the comparison, there's not much reason for me personally to invest in this device. And I don't even think I'd recommend to people invest in this device.
The only thing that I would say I disagree with on that, and the fact that the internal storage is so small, I don't think that that's going to be a turnoff for very many people. I have never once in my life thought about internal storage when it comes to buying a console. My PS4 and PS3 are full. Every time I want to get a new game, I delete another game. It's not an issue for me, the fact that I have small amount of storage on my consoles. So, and honestly, it's because I just didn't realize that storage was going to be an issue. And I honestly probably won't even think about that much to next generation. I'll just delete old games that I'm not playing anymore. Even for the people who are just going in and think, okay, $300 plus the 60 it takes to get Madden or whatever, they're going to download that. They're going to run out of space 2 years later, whatever. And at that point, they'll be invested in the ecosystem. They'll have had their console for a long time, and they'll think, okay, either it's 2 years later and I can get a hard drive. But honestly, not a lot of people from that casual market are going to even think of that. They're going to be like, okay, I'll just delete Madden 20 and wipe that off my hard drive, delete the old Call of Duty, release the space and get the next game. So I really don't think that the lack of hard drive space is actually going to be as big of a detriment as you're saying it might be.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm also, believe it or not, I'm speaking from the perspective of an enthusiast gamer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in an era where we're seeing basically everybody unable to compress their files to a reasonable size, releasing a specifically only digital device with a 512 internal is a misstep. I think with the disk drive, there's a little bit more leeway. But without it, it gets a little bit tricky. Of course, we all just delete shit, and you can get the external hard drive. But I'm just saying, from the perspective of myself, of the perspective of which model am I going to pick, if I'm baking in the cost of a hard drive, that's going to put me close to that Series X price tag.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm just going to get that.
Yeah.
Um,
But even at that point, I don't even know if you are going to be sold on the Series X in general.
I
Your
mean,
hype for that has gone down and down.
where I'm sitting right now, it's not too much of a concern, the power or the internal storage of that fucking Series S or Series X, until I get denied from the PS5 pre-order lottery, because I'm repping the fucking gang right here. And if I can get that PS5 pre-order, that's what I'm going with. That's in my heart of hearts, that's what I'm feeling right now. So I'm
Yeah.
speaking from an outsider's perspective. One wrinkle that I don't think either of us are considering is where xCloud may fit into this.
Oh, that's true.
xCloud
Oh.
on a stable network.
Yeah.
xCloud has already proven to be pretty stable on not super intensive connections. On a stable connection, xCloud could be the compelling and missing piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah.
And it's possible that in execution, that's what really makes this console worth the money,
Yeah.
and what makes the lack of a disk drive not feel too impactful, and what makes a lot of things start to fit into place a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think that the lack of storage, that essentially, I never even thought about that, but that essentially negates all the issues with the lack of storage. If you have 2 games downloaded on your thing, but then you realize, oh, xCloud lets me stream any other game that I want, you're not going to need a lot of storage. And I think the fact that they're going to be pushing that so hard next generation, I mean, they already have the beta out there, people playing Gears on their phone. When you have it on a powerful console with a stable internet connection that's not moving around because it's not a phone or a laptop, you're not going to need a lot of internal storage to download all these games because you're going to be streaming most of them. And the streaming future is coming. Stadia was a misstep, but I do think that Microsoft, and if Sony ends up pushing for streaming, I think that that's going to be the future of this. So honestly, we might not even see huge storage numbers for the Series X or the PS5. I honestly think that that might not be pushed as hard.
Well, I don't think those consoles are launching with anything less than a terabyte.
Yeah, but I also don't think that that is going to be the giant number that is for the next generation, right? You say Warzone by itself over 100 gigabytes, that's already a tenth of it. So at that point, you don't have a ton of storage if you are what you're saying with your lack of storage being an issue.
Yeah, it's very hypothetical until we really figure out how usable xCloud and PS Now are going to be. And that is a tantalizing possibility, but I'm not sure that is a functional reality yet. There's a lot of really nice words, fucking back to back to back.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how important streaming will be, how useful it'll be. It seems like downloaded digital games are still going to be the bread and butter of these machines. I think that's what's going to be the main mode of playing.
Sure.
I think jumping from discs to streaming is a hard ask in one gen. I think jumping from discs to digital is a much better transition than supplementing that with streaming. But really, it all comes down to needing more information.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder when this was going to get announced otherwise.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the plan all along was even to just drop a Twitter thing, just a YouTube video. Yeah. I would imagine that there's going to be a fuller Xbox presentation with Series X details.
Uh-huh.
And I imagine that PlayStation is not too far behind.
I agree. Especially considering the fact that this was essentially and most likely only revealed today because it was leaked last night. And Xbox did what I believe is the perfect marketing decision for that, and the perfect PR decision is to have the little monkey meme with the eyes shifting around. I mean, that was a great move. And they're like, all right, you know what? It's out there. Why don't we make it official? I think that's a great way to handle it. And I get very upset at leaks. And we're currently on a shutdown, but I get very upset at leaks just because it ruins the hype of it. But this is the way that you handle it. So I think they did a good job overall with that.
I think that Xbox did a nice job messaging this in the worst scenario that they possibly could have had.
Yeah.
And I think Xbox is doing a nice job setting themselves up to have a really robust and accessible ecosystem that I think is going to appeal to a lot of players. I'm not necessarily sure the more we learn that it appeals to me, per se. It seems like ripping the fucking Sony, Microsoft fucking power duo is going to be what I'm going to keep doing next gen.
Yeah. I love that you called your Switch a Microsoft. That's fantastic.
Is that what I said? Did I say Microsoft?
I believe you did.
Well,
in fact, I'm 100% confirmed that you did.
I didn't mean it. I meant Nintendo.
I'll kiss my Wii U gamepad.
Wow, that's illegal in some countries.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else to say about this? I know you got to head to class soon.
I do have to head to class soon, but here's what I have to say. You can buy a Series X. You can buy a Series S. You can buy a PS5. You can buy any of these machines. But you know what they can't play? Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
Now, let's say you're fucking dying to play this game as I am, but you can't for another couple weeks. You got Super Mario 3D All-Stars there in the middle, but you can't play it yet. You know what you should do, folks? Check out the card in the corner. One of these corners has a card to our discussion.
Above me, actually.
Who gives a shit? There's a card somewhere. It's got a video in it. That card has a video. The cake is a lie. The card is a hoax. It's a Trojan horse. It's a video. Go click on it. It's all about Hyrule Warriors. It's a little bit about Nintendo's 2020. The fact is, a resurgent Nintendo in 2020 means, do I even care about next gen? Only
Who
time will tell.
knows?
Only time will tell. But that's all I have to say.
All right. Don't forget me.
Fuck. Hold on, we're starting over.
What? Okay. I was just fucking sitting here and you started.
All right. All right, here we go.